Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because they agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. First of all, I have to thank Nicole Renee. We just started and you already blessing the platform. I appreciate that. It says, hey, Pammy Pam. Hey, Intellects. It's been a minute since I caught a live. Happy Sunday to you all. Wishing you a blessed week. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Sherman, thank you so much for the super sticker. Look at y'all showing out on a Sunday. Y'all must feel real blessed on today. Real blessed on today, and you're sharing your blessings with your girl, and I appreciate it. What I want you guys to do, first of all, if you're new here, welcome. We have a lot of new subscribers. Thank you so much for committing to the channel. I hope you guys have got your proper notification because we are about to discuss some shenanigans. I don't really know what this is, okay? I really don't know. So I'm going to go straight to the Instagram page because this is all alleged. Tyler, this is all alleged. I don't know these people and I don't know you either. However, one of your former actors is out here telling everything he say he know. I'm just saying that's what he doing on this Instagram page. And I started out listening to his videos and I was just so confused. And honestly, if once we get into it, because I just went to the page. At first I was recording stuff and screenshot, and I was like, no, we about to go straight to the page because this is too much work on a Sunday. But anyway, make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We Houston, we got a problem. Apparently, this young man, Braxton Wells, I believe is his name, he did throw a settlement agreement on his platform. He has shown a settlement agreement that was signed, I guess, last year. And what I'm getting from a lot of this is when Derek did his lawsuit. Y'all remember Derek? We talked about that lawsuit. When Derek filed his lawsuit, I think it triggered this guy. This is what I'm getting from it because he settled prior to there's issues of, I guess some attorney told him he had statute of limitation issue. He wanted it to be criminal, but he's not accusing Tyler Perry directly of doing anything. It's supposed to be, I guess, maybe one of his employees is what I'm gathering from it. Maybe a producer or something. I don't know, but we're going to read directly from the page because I'm not about to say anything that ain't what he said, okay? But again, this is all alleged. You take what you want with it. But he has done video after video. They're like 3 minutes each. Each video that he's done it in separate parts. And then he just posted a bunch of stuff. I mean, he's mad at the attorney. He's filed a grievance against his attorney. He just mad at everybody. He mad at Derek because he said Derek used his evidence to help him with his own case, but won't help him with his case. And yeah, he said since nobody is rooting for him and nobody is got his back and nobody's supporting him, he said, then I'm going to support myself. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to support myself. So y'all make sure, pull up a chair. It's Sunday and it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on here. A lot. Thank you, LK, for being a member for 20 months. I appreciate that. You know, I love all of the continual support. Listen, let's go over here to this here Instagram. We about to go lurk this Instagram page together. You know, I typically don't do that, but it is about the law. All right. So this is what he is alleging. Okay. This is what the allegation is over here. This is the summary of his testimony. Again, this is, oh, let me see if I got my disclaimer because he on here talking about. Okay. This is our commentary and our opinion. All right. That's first of all. And this is him talking. This ain't me. I'm just reading what he said. Okay. So let's get into it. I know you guys like she hopping right into this. Ain't too many hellos, nothing. Okay. So this is what he's saying. So this is about Mark Swinton. So this was dated September 25th of 2024. So I don't know if this is what he sent to a lawyer to say that he wants to file this lawsuit, but this was posted like 2 hours ago, as you guys see, or 3 hours ago. So he says, so the first time I met Mark, I booked a 16 episode on Ruthless, playing the role Belle with the help of Cindy Butler at I Submit Talent Agency in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on Zoom call with him and Rayvon Drummer. I mean, he put names out here, letting me know how much they love my self tape. And I did my self tape at North Hollywood at Creation Studios. They booked me a first class ticket from LA to Atlanta, Georgia. I had a driver waiting on me at the Atlanta airport to take me to the Intercontinental Hotel. We heard a lot about that Intercontinental with the Diddy stuff, man. On November 6, 2019. So when it was time for me to come on set on November 7, 2019, they took pictures of me in wardrobe and wig. And then when I was about to work, Mark calls me in his office, letting me know that they were sending me back home and letting me know I had a 17-year-old face, but I had a man's body. And I took it in a professional manner. And when I did, Mark said he was impressed how I handled it well and said he will promise me a role in the future. Then 2 years later, we stayed in contact and he booked me for the role cult member on the Oval. Something about this Oval on October 19, 2021. And TPS flew me out from LAX to Atlanta. You know, that's Tyler Perry Studios. Flew me out from LAX to Atlanta November 1st, 2021 at 12:20 PST on Delta Airlines and landed in Atlanta at 7:40 Eastern Standard Time. I had to Uber myself to the Intercontinental and Mark, let's see if he got one. Wait a minute. Did he just put a little, where the rest of it? Okay, hold on. That's all he got on here. So I don't even see the rest of the story. So he got the flight, got a flight. Let's see. So this is what he alleging. I was great, groomed, and silenced. Now I'm exposing the cover up. My name is Braxton Wells. I'm a U.S. Army vet, and I'm speaking up for every survivor who was told to stay quiet. What happened? He says in January 2022, he was graped by Mark Swinton, VP at Tyler Perry Studios, after being lured across state lines from California to Georgia under false pretenses involving my work on BET's The Oval. So that's what he alleging. Okay, so then he says, you know, that going across state lines, y'all know all that, you know, that sounds Diddy-ish. I was a retired veteran with PTSD. They used my mental health, trauma, and status against me. But the grape was only the beginning. My civil attorney, Jeannie Harrison, pushed me into a secret NDA while the criminal case was still open. She never told me about my federal or military protections. She never filed a civil case, and she worked behind the scenes with Tyler Perry's defense. This is all alleged. Okay, so then they got the investigation. I guess he filed with Roswell Police. So then he's telling us the laws that protect him and void the NDA. 18 USC 1591, grooming across state lines, ex trafficking. And then Title 38 protects veterans with trauma from coercion. 18 U.S.C. 3771 Crime Victims' Rights Act guarantees my right to fair treatment, dignity, and full disclosure. ADA Section 504 protects disabled veterans from manipulation or silence. Whistleblower Protection Act. Then he go to California law. SB 331, the Silence No More Act. California Civil Code 5265 extends deadlines for victims of grooming and coercion. Unlimited civil jurisdiction. My case qualified for a California civil suit, not Georgia. I'm gonna have to quid pro quo law, power imbalance in work plus great criminal in California. So he's saying why the NDA is void. He says it was signed under coercion, mental distress, and concealed legal rights. He says his attorney never disclosed my veteran or California protection. The NDA was signed October 31st, 2024, after the criminal case had already started. Conflict of interest. He said this attorney collaborated with the defense, allegedly. Suppressed evidence. Investigators Robbins never released the findings. This is obstruction of justice. This is legal malpractice, and this is a violation of the Constitution. So then he's comparing himself to Derek Dixon's case. So he's saying he was also a California resident assaulted in Georgia. He was protected under California law. He was never forced into Georgia jurisdiction and wasn't silenced by the NDA, and my case is the same, but I was denied justice. Why? Because the system protects predators. That's what he's saying. So he's demanding to file a motion to void the NDA, civil lawsuit for sexual assault, grooming across state lines, fraud, emotional distress, legal malpractice, criminal prosecution in both California and Georgia. He said names I am publicly holding accountable. So this is what he is alleging. Now, make sure y'all hit this like button too. Now, what I will say, he's saying that I guess this, you must have missed the first part. Okay. You said click the third one again. Hold on. Let me go back. I don't know what the third one is, but this is what I put the name up. So this is somebody that works for Tyler Perry's studio. So this is the first one. Second, this is the third one. So he's saying he filed a criminal investigation at Roswell Police. That's what the third one was. So what I'm going to say is this. As an initial matter, I understand he's really, really upset. There was a settlement agreement. He puts it out here. Like he puts the settlement agreement, which it probably they're probably going to ask for their money back if they gave him money. I think what happened is he saw what Derek filed in his lawsuit and the fact that he was from Georgia. I believe his allegations was a year before his, and allegedly he was told there was a statute of limitation issue in Georgia, and several attorneys advised him of that for what he was alleging. And also he said the general jurisdiction or basically the jurisdiction he's referring to that I know about, and maybe something different, is you have some courts who can hear criminal, civil, they can hear whatever matters. There's no limitation. So they're unlimited jurisdiction or general jurisdictions, as we call them. Then you have some courts that are, the only thing they can hear is tickets. The only thing they can hear, the Court of Appeals, they only have jurisdiction over certain issues from the lower court. Then once they come to their conclusion, they got to bring it down. That's limited jurisdiction. I think what he did was he read the complaint and maybe he interpreted what the jurisdiction was. This is just my speculation. I ain't talked to the young man. I'm just looking at what he put in the lawsuit. So I think that's the first thing, is maybe some misinterpretation of what the law actually is. Secondly, Tyler Perry has not been served this lawsuit. The last time I checked a couple of days ago, he was not served. So if he was served in the last couple of days, he still would not have responded to it yet. So we really don't know what, if any, defenses he's going to have. I surmise he's going to try to dismiss it immediately. If he don't settle out of court or something, he's probably going to file a motion to dismiss. And he may say there's jurisdiction issues. So to take a complaint, and I believe this person is taking the complaint as if everything is true, and then kind of getting upset like this dude has filed a 200 and something $1 million complaint, but I settled for a $500,000 as he put on his thing, as he put on his wall. He settled for a $500,000 back in December, which is supposed to, I guess, go in increments. So what I'm thinking is, because he saw that amount, because you can put whatever you want. He could have put $1 billion is what he's asking for on the complaint. That don't mean he gonna get it. He can ask for whatever he want to ask for. But that doesn't mean that he has $250 million or whatever his amount was, that the judge is going to say, or the jury, or whoever the trier of fact is going to be it bench or jury, I'm assuming a jury trial, that they're going to say, yes, your case is worth this amount. So I think it's a lot of speculations why he's jumping out with some of this stuff, but that's just my opinion. You said Tyler just sitting, Tyler sitting on the porch singing a song. So no, this wouldn't even be a lawsuit because this man has settled already. But I think what he did was he saw Derek. Well, we know he's not very happy because of what Derek he's alleging. So this is part of the NDA right here. So this is what let's listen to some of the things that he is alleging. So he does it in 6 parts. So for those that came in, he's alleging that Mark Swinton, I guess, who works for Tyler Perry Studios, Grapetown, they have denied all allegations because there is a settlement agreement of which they say they deny all allegations. So I'm going to have to say that because he put it out there. And they did say they denied all allegations, but just to avoid the publicity of it all, I guess, and to avoid any further litigation, the same language they always use when they settle. And they also had him sign an NDA. So this is why he's talking all this stuff about why the NDA is void, because in theory he ain't supposed to be talking because you signed the NDA when you decide to take this money back in November. So this is the audio of what he's saying. Okay, hold on.
All right. I'm not about to hide anything with you guys. I'm not. And I'm not about to sit here and be afraid and be silenced by people knowingly they did me wrong. I'm calling out Tyler Perry Studios. I'm calling out Mark Swinton. I'm calling out Jeannie Harrison. I'm calling out Michael Robbins. I'm calling out Tyler Perry. And I'm calling out Mark Temple. And I'm calling out Chris Giovanni. I want you guys to know what you guys did to me was very unlawful. And me being a retired vet, U.S. Army vet, going through post-traumatic stress disorder, going through mood, depressions, everything that I've claimed in my testimony, you all covered it up. You all covered up a felony crime of what Mark Swin has done to me. I've asked for help from the California State Bar to complain to Jeannie Harrison because she didn't tell me my California rights as a U.S. Army veteran and a California LA resident. I'm sitting here looking on the news that this kid named Derek Dixon is getting unlimited jurisdiction, quid pro, as a LA resident, right? His incident happened in 2020.
So what I'm gonna say is by that comment, I was like, I don't think he understand what that even means. But we'll continue. Because like I said, unlimited jurisdiction within the court is typically they have the ability to hear any type of case that you bring to them. They're not just subjected to one type of case. That's typically what it means, a general jurisdiction, unless he got something else. Quid pro quo, it is a law that they have a lot of times with employment. Y'all know what quid pro quo is. I don't have to tell y'all. But just the way he worded it just sounded confusing. So I just wanted to try to interpret what I think he's trying to say. But of course, I don't know. I don't know him. So I don't know what he's trying to say. But if you want to, come on and explain yourself, sir, you're welcome.
In Georgia in an employment place. He said he had a sexual harassment. And he was groped by Tyler Perry in Georgia as an employment place. But he's an LA resident. All right, y'all tracking what I'm saying? 2022, my incident. I get sexually assaulted and raped, drugged, blacked out. That's a felony crime. And it happened in Georgia as an LA resident. So if you guys don't know the laws in Georgia, this is what they put against me. They said I had 2 years of a statute of limitation. I got 5 months late. 2 years of statute.
And honestly, I'm gonna go to the next one because like I said, it's like 2-3 minutes each one. Tyler Perry may still raise a statute of limitation defense. We don't know. He may still raise a jurisdictional defense. We don't know. He has not responded. So you will almost think that this was filed. He overcame all jurisdictional issues. The court said it was all good and they were headed towards trial or something. I could see him being pissed for that. But like when the fact that it was just filed and it hasn't even been served yet that I saw. If it has, it just happened. I'm going to look it up again before we get off. But you kind of getting upset about somebody's filing, which is just an allegation. So I think he kind of jumped the gun, but it's just my opinion, especially when you done sign a settlement agreement, which has an NDA where you're not supposed to talk. And typically how they have it is if you breach it, you're going to have to pay that money back. That's a lot. That's still a lot of money that he got.
2 years of statute of limitation, right? Now, let's go back to Derek Dixon. 2020, same incident, but just a different, he has sexual harassment. That's way before statute of limitation, right? 2 years, right? That's what, 4, 5 years? And he gets a lawsuit with his attorney, Jonathan Delshad. Jonathan Delshad gets him a $260 million lawsuit. And it's all over TMZ.
You see what I'm saying? He said basically, because apparently he reached out to this same lawyer and he gave him his evidence, and I don't think the lawyer gave him any play. So he's saying he got the attorney who got him a $260 million lawsuit that's all over TMZ. That's an allegation, though. He ain't won $260 million. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? He has not won that money yet. So that's what I'm concerned that perhaps you may have put all this stuff out here and jeopardize you owing money back because you kind of just was premature with, being a little pissed off. But let's go on.
It's all over Fox. It's all over every news outlet that you can name up. Right? Every news outlet. But my civil attorney. Now let's go on the story. How all this stuff happened to me. Ever since I came out with my first video. Right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, Mr. TP, I'm not afraid of none of y'all. I'm not afraid of none of your lawyers. I'm not even part of this business, entertainment business anymore. You're gonna get exposed. Me being with Yahweh Elohim, Yahshua the Messiah, I am covered. And I'm about to expose every demon that is literally possessing you right now. I met a guy who's my manager named Chris Giovanni. Now I was, I had an agent out in Atlanta. Her name is Joy Purvis. Everybody knows Jay Purvis, of course. You know, and I told her I was going to go to this guy named Chris Giovanni. And Joy told me, "Oh no, you shouldn't go to him. He's a bad guy. And he's not going to be the right manager for you." So I'll say this: I meet Chris, I get signed. You know, he wanted to have dinner. He wanted to meet up at Mama Shelter in Los Angeles. Mama Shelter is closed right now. It's closed down, but that's where me and him met up at, and we had a conversation. So I told him about my situation. Like, I was just telling him what I went through. And, I went through the whole Tyler Perry situation with Mark Swinton and what he did to me, paying me $6,000 to shut the hell up, to not ruin my career, his career, or anything like that. And, you know, I told him about the situation I went through, me being sexually assaulted and raped. And he told me, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I had the same client that went through that, and all my clients who are on working with Tyler, you know, they're going through a lot of stress, and people are taking advantage of his clients. Even somebody 2 years of statute of limitation,
I told y'all it's in
right?
part. So now we on part 3.
Oh yeah, I had the same client that went through that, and all my clients who are on working with Tyler, you know, they're going through a lot of stress, and people are taking advantage of his clients. Even somebody
So I hear y'all saying 6K. He also posted the settlement agreement. So we gonna look and see how much the settlement agreement says.
a female lead right now, I think her name is Melissa, who's on Ruthless, is saying the same thing, that she's ready to leave Tyler Perry too. But that's another side of the story. I'm not even talking about that right now. He was the one that kind of orchestrated everything and told me, "I think you need to report this. I think you need to say something," because I've been holding on for this for 2 years. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know who to go to. Being an actor, as y'all all know, it's a hard situation to go through. This is your life. This is what you want. This is your career. This is your dream, right? This is all that you want. But then, you know, you got somebody that you trust, your manager, that's going to support you in this. And he's like, I'm gonna help you, but I need you to, when I do tip off this guy, and he's talking about Mark Temple, who's Tyler Perry's attorney. But yeah, but let's keep going. He tips Mark Temple's attorney and told him, "Hey, I have a client that's going through the situation. What you want me to do with this?" So Mark Temple tips off Tyler. As I quote, Tyler was pissed, right? Tyler was pissed. And that's all I hear from, you know, Chris. And Chris was telling me, they're going to have a third party attorney that's going to contact you, and they're going to do, it's going to be normal, and they're going to ask you, "Hey, we've been hired for Tyler Perry Studios to do a employment place investigation." But Tyler's gonna know about all the information. He's gonna know about what's happening, know about all the accusations, right? Okay, so let's get to the nice things here. So Chris tells me, "Hey, just tell them that I try to send you an audition for Straw and this and that, and because I don't want to be having a conflict of interest, because I have clients, they're making about $100,000 each episode. I mean, well, they're making their client, his client is making $1 million, but he's making $100,000 on each client, and I'm pretty sure he has, like, he told me, it was like three clients that he had on there. But anyway, that's like the moral of the story. But
You mean
he told me to lie for him. That's red flag number one. He's been working for Tyler for what, since he was 18. I think the guy's like 32 now. I'm not really good at math, but pretty sure that's what. Oh yeah, I had the same.
So that's part 3. I know, that's why I said I had to go back, like, what are the allegations? So what it sounds like he's doing is just going through saying there was almost a conspiracy, almost, of You go to your manager, tell them about what experience you had with Tyler Perry Studio and this other guy, this executive producer or whoever he is. And he basically tell you, well, I got so many clients, I don't want them type of, I don't want that type of smoke almost with Tyler. I'm making good money. Shoot, I'm getting 100K. They get $1 million. I get 100K of that as being their manager or agent or whatever he is. So then he goes on. This is what I'm gathering because it does sound like a lot of rambling to me as well. So apparently it sounds like Tyler has a person of which the agent or manager goes to him like, hey, these are some allegations. And they're like, oh, well, somebody from Tyler Perry, the third party who is probably a lawyer, is going to contact him, I guess, to try to resolve whatever issues that he's alleging happened. So that's kind of what I got. But again, I don't know these people. So this is just what I'm interpreting from what's going on.
He's been working for Tyler for since he was 18. I think the guy's like 32 now. I'm not really good at math, but pretty sure that's almost 13 years. I'm not really good at math, but that's a very long time. The guy knows the guy very well. So I'm going through the investigation, right, guys? Michael Robbins sends me a message. He has this other paralegal that's typing up all my stuff. Okay, she's listening to everything in my whole testimony. I tell her everything. I tell her everything what happens. I even got the testimony written out and everything. I literally have everything. So, I'm over here trying to figure out, okay, should I get an attorney? I don't know what to do. This just doesn't seem right, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to get an attorney. I let Chris know I want to get an attorney. The dude gets pissed off, talking about you don't need to get an attorney. You're just gonna cause problems and all this and blah blah blah. We can't have this happen. And I'm just like, well, I need to be protected because I don't know what these guys are gonna do. They're gonna manipulate me. These guys are very powerful. They're billionaires. They can do anything. I don't have shit. I ain't got money like them. I don't have shit. I don't got nothing like them. I'm just trying to take down a person who sexually assaulted and raped me. That's the person I'm trying to take down. But here, it gets even much better. While I'm looking for an attorney, I'm looking for entertainment lawyers to try to see who's connected in the business that can really help me out in this situation because I don't have anybody. I have a case, but everybody's not trying to take on my case because it's so political. People don't want to ruin their reputation. And I don't know why people don't. I just feel like it's just so stupid how this entertainment business runs. These people are sitting here like, oh, I'm not trying to mess up my political rep, if I take on the case like this, and then they're just ruining me. Who gives a shit, man? You got a person over here that's been sexually assaulted, and that's a felony crime. Let me say that again.
Or it could be, because I don't know about using the word political. Now, is it relational or networky up in the entertainment? Yeah, you pretty much know all the major entertainment attorneys that work with different people. But I think that people are going to be cautious to make sure the legitimacy of it all. And that's not to say either way, because you doing that, look at some people. I'm not going to name no attorneys' names, but you got some people that have been representing people. And then it turns out that it's a little shaky. And now your whole reputation get dragged in the media. Because as you all know, these type of the cases against a Tyler Perry or whoever is going to be talked about. So you do have to be very cautious. You have to vet. You don't want no Jay-Z situation like what happened with Busby. Busby got the money to play in the sandbox like that. But some people don't have money like that to be going back and forth and tussling with a Tyler Perry that's a billionaire. So I think maybe the vetting of it could have been an issue. And that's not to say maybe they just felt like it wasn't worth to take the chance. I don't know. But this is his interpretation of the lawyers, I guess, that really didn't want to be involved because they were saying it's political. Is it a tight knit network? It is. You get some sporadic people that ain't in the group with entertainment. Like I've done some entertainment. I wouldn't consider myself an entertainment lawyer really being in the group. But I do sue, breaches of contracts. I've helped with a reality show contracts. I've helped with contracts for people that are performers. I've done things here and there, but it's usually my friends who they just can't get in touch with their lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to do this like on an ongoing basis. So, but you have some that this is what they do. Their whole entire firm is about entertainment and acquisition and mergers on different record labels and all that. That's not what I do. And this way, he's talking about all you really need is a civil lawyer. You don't really need an entertainment lawyer. You need a civil lawyer because you're talking about some type of actual type abuse, which is a tort.
That is a felony crime. Okay? Vulnerable, PTSD, 100% disabled veteran that is going through it. And to be honest with you, I'm federally protected. But I'll get better. I'll continue that story better on to my story when I'm trying to tell you.
So I told you all, and I think he is having a hard time articulating this in a smooth way because it is kind of choppy and all over the place. And I only really know what's going on because he posted. So he's alleging, if you just came in, that someone within the Tyler Perry camp that works for Tyler Perry Studios actually assaulted him. There was a settlement agreement that he actually posted. What I believe personally, and as you listen to this, is, and he said it towards the beginning of this 6-part video, is that when Derek filed his lawsuit that we went over here, I think it triggered him because he was told that you had statute of limitation issues. You can't file, even though you're a resident of California, I guess you got to file it in Georgia, whatever type of advice that he may have gotten or attorneys that turned him down. And so he's looking at Derek's lawsuit as if he already won. That's how I'm looking at it. Like he's looking at it like he already won when it was just filed. But let's go on.
I'm looking for an entertainment lawyer. There's this guy named Doug Johnson. Doug Johnson, I don't know, I guess he does.
And like I said, you don't need an entertainment lawyer for this. You need a person that does civil. That's like does civil litigation, specifically like negligence, torts, workplace harassment, that type of thing. You don't need an entertainment lawyer.
Deals with stuff like this, with sexual assault, but he said, this ain't my type of thing. But I think I know a woman that can really do this for you. So he introduced me to this lady named Jeannie Harrison. Jeannie Harrison, I guess she repped for the Harvey Weinstein victims. And, you know, I don't know what happened in the Harvey Weinstein, and I've seen that he went to jail. He's been indicted and stuff like that.
Okay.
He's been working for Tyler.
Well, we on part 4. Okay, now we got part 5.
So, but he said, this ain't my type of thing. But I think I know a woman that can really do this for you. So he introduced me to this lady named Jeannie Harrison. Jeannie Harrison, I guess she repped for the Harvey Weinstein victims. And, you know, I don't know what happened in the Harvey Weinstein, and I've seen that he went to jail. He's been indicted.
I need some of y'all to be serious sometimes. Y'all so unserious talking about go get Sonya to rep you. You guys are so... We trying to follow this here, okay, on this here Sunday. We all trying to follow what's going on.
Stuff like that. But it sounds like it's good on paper, right? You know, she's got everything that you need, right? So let's continue. She takes on my case. I tell her from the beginning of...
I agree with you. I think like they do help vets, a lot of the hospitals or whatnot. And he does sound like he got some documented disabilities from being a vet. And I think he's confused that you need an entertainment lawyer, but you don't need an entertainment lawyer. You can literally just get anybody that does civil litigation that can help you, because the entertainment lawyer community is pretty close knit. It is. Like with the guy, he's passed away now, that when I did entertainment, that I used to run everything by, because he did this all the time. So even though I would pretty much be sure I know what I'm doing, I will always double check, because this just was not anything I kept up with all the time like an entertainment lawyer should. You should keep up with all the trends, all the laws, all of that, because that's what you do. I was doing it so far in between, and plus it was just contractual issues, which was pretty similar, across the board with a lot of the entertainment stuff. But he knew I could name someone that was trying to be on the other side of, that I was negotiating with for a contract, and he would know who they were. So they are a close-knit community, but I don't think that's the type of lawyer you necessarily need. Well, I know that's not a lawyer that you necessarily need. You just need someone that does civil litigation with the claims he's alleging.
The story. I tell her, listen, I had a lot.
So allegedly he's talking to this lawyer, this lady that was referred to him. And he's also filed that he posted, I guess, a grievance against her to the California bar because he feel like she didn't do her job. I just, people are always sending out grievances trying to take away people's livelihood. I be having a problem with that too. Unless they just be screwing up. There are some lawyers that do just be screwing up. But when you just do that as a default, I just have a problem with that. Like I've had people come to me that told me they've sent grievances, and I was like people in my wrongful conviction because they feel like an attorney didn't move fast enough or something. And I'll tell them I can't represent you if you got a grievance pending. Because how I know you're not gonna do it to me because you feel like I'm not moving fast enough. Like I don't even play those games. People try to play with your license, but
A lot of attorneys tell me in Georgia, because I don't know my rights, because I live in Los Angeles. I'm a resident of Los Angeles, but I went over there and traveled in an employment place and came back, right? So, you know, they're saying the statute of limitation is 2 years.
So if you just came in here, he did make a police report. He said he made one. He made a police report in Roswell, and he actually had a police report number that he also has on this platform that he posted.
And I told her this straight up. This was statute of limitation for 2 years. And I had several attorneys tell me that in Georgia. So I was like, well, they were telling me you're going to have to get a civil attorney in LA because you're a resident in LA. So I'm going here trying to figure out the situation. I'm telling her, she still takes on the case. But she says, hey, I'm about to go on vacation for a whole month, and I'll let you know when things are going good. I waited a month. Okay? I waited a month. No words. Nothing. I haven't heard from anyone. I haven't talked to anyone. I only talked to her paralegal. Paralegal's like, just keep sending us some of your doctor stuff and your medical documents. Now, as you know, guys, that's HIPAA Act. Giving out federal documents, what I'm going through in my medical procedures, and knowingly, I didn't know they were trying to keep a felony.
So this is another thing that when he said that, yes, the paralegals are going to ask for your medical documents. Why do you think that an attorney's office, I'm gonna ask the intellects, why do you think the attorney's office is going to ask you to submit your medical documents? Everything that you say can be absolutely true. They could have done everything that you say that they've done. Exactly. If you have no damages, it does not matter. So when he said this is a HIPAA violation, I'm like, so how do you think they're going to prove your damages? You obviously would have went to the doctors to say, I have PTSD because of this. I have physical injury because I was raped. All of these things, if you're consistently going to see your counselor, because this has affected you even more with your condition you already battle, or say, for instance, you were stable. Then all of a sudden, all this allegation happened, and around the same time, your therapist, whoever, can see that you're not the same person, and you were stable, and now you're not stable anymore. Or now this is worse. I had to up his medication because of this. Those are all damages. So that's why I said a lot of this stuff, it just sounds like he don't really know. He's not really getting what's going on. He kind of seen this lawsuit with Derek, and it just kind of and that's not to say whether this happened to him, didn't happen to him, or whatever. I'm not the arbiter of that. I was not there. Tyler Perry said it didn't happen. Tyler Perry Studio said it didn't happen. The man who he's accusing said it didn't happen, and that is in the settlement. So they said it ain't happened. So I have to say their side as well. But when you say things like this as if something nefarious is about asking for your medicals, You have to prove damages. Like you have to. You do. You sign almost every single time when you sign your retainer, you also sign a medical release form. And if you say you're injured and we actually ask you to list everywhere of which you've had treatment at. And we're going to send that in and we're going to get the medicals because we have to prove what you're saying. See, people, you can prove somebody can get in a car accident and we know it was there was an at-fault driver. They hit you from behind and there's a presumption they hit you from behind is their fault. Liability all day. But if you go to the doctors and they say ain't nothing wrong with you, there's no damages. That is part of the elements that we talk about. You can still get zero. You can still go to trial and get no cause. Why? Because you don't have a doctor saying that you were injured due to this accident. This is the same thing. Everything you saying, it sound like it would be he said, she said, because it sound like he would say it didn't happen. He would say it did happen. So it would be about credibility. But if you didn't have one document that said that it affected you anyway, you're just saying that, then that would go against your damages too. Even if they believed everything that you said. So yeah. Let me go on. Make sure it's over 1,000 of y'all. Make sure you hit that like button for me. Thank you.
Crime hidden. That is a felony crime and that's federal. But I'll continue.
So he says something about, I guess, with these HIPAA documents, it's supposed to be, he's alleging they may be trying to cover up a crime. That's what he just said. I don't know where that's connecting, but I'm trying to interpret as much as I can because I know it's kind of everywhere and he's done this in parts. And even how it ends is just like, okay, where's the next part?
I'm giving all my medical documents to an attorney that is representing me, right? And she doesn't mention any of this stuff to them. Now I know she's gonna tell me, "Oh, I've said these things, and blah blah blah." But why haven't you tell me my rights in Los Angeles? Why haven't you tell me I had unlimited jurisdiction?
So he is looking at this man's complaint. And he's saying this attorney did not tell him he had unlimited jurisdiction. I don't know what his definition is, but he's saying that she didn't tell him his rights. And so this is part of why he's a little upset.
In Los Angeles. Why you didn't tell me I had quid pro in Los Angeles? Why was this case not seen by a judge, jury, or so? But he said, this ain't
right, so that's part 5, right? That was part 5, right? Okay, we in the last part. That was part 5, right? Is that what I just had up?
So, but he said, this ain't my type of thing.
Okay, yeah, it's part 5. I'm getting lost trying to keep y'all not being lost. Okay,
Derek Dixon's case, because I wanted criminal and I wanted civil, but she said it was impossible to do any of that because of the statute of limitations in Georgia. Oh, and I totally forgot. The third party attorney, Michael Robbins, who was doing the investigation, she's been doing business with him for over 15 years, and they've done the same. They were working together in the same practice before for 15 years. They worked on the same cases together as a team. Conflict of interest. A vulnerable victim that's been sexually assaulted and raped, mood disorder, PTSD, depression. Going through a lot. Going through a lot. And you took advantage of my medical documents. No Silence Act order in California as a resident. As a VA disability retired soldier,
I'm not saying he's not smart at all. He can be very intelligent. I'm saying that the way he is getting it seems like he's comparing this Derek Dixon. Well, I know that's what he's doing right now because he's saying the Derek Dixon case. So he's comparing it, and he actually has a comparison that he did that we went over in his post. The problem is if you look up the case, which I'm about to do right quick. Let me see. Hopefully, let's see if the case search for LA is working. Because they just hold on. They got a new website. Jesus. Not today. We don't want anything new right now. Y'all welcome me to the website. Let me see if this is the case. No, he just filed that this year, right? So that'll be a 25 case. I gotta look up the case number right quick. You guys hold your horses. I'm gonna double check and see if Tyler has even been served. But he read that man's lawsuit, I think, and it just kind of triggered him. Tyler Perry. That's case number 2025. I don't know if I like this new website. Okay. All right. Let's look it up so we can all see it right quick. We'll get back to you in a second, sir. Let's look up the case. So he filed it June 13th. There was a civil case cover, notice of case assignment. Another updated civil case cover on June 16th. The address of the attorneys was updated. It was a middle name change. They updated the organization name. They updated TPS production. They updated the civil case cover sheet. June 18th, the case management conference scheduled for October 15th. That was from the court. And then there's a notice of case management conference. He hasn't even been served this. There is no proof of service. So he hasn't even been served, so he hasn't even answered it, is what I'm saying. So you're kind of making it as if what's being said is just So okay, let me go back to his Instagram. Okay.
Cannot be silent. Doing me having a disability, that's a federal crime. I can't be silenced or coerced or pressured to signing in anything without seeing a judge, a jury. And I was never told those rights. That's legal malpractice. I make a police report while I'm in Colombia to the Roswell police in September 25th when I came out with my first video. Before I even signed the NDA. And the NDA was signed in October 31st. Because I even told her I didn't trust her. I didn't trust what they were doing. They were manipulating. I felt like I was being pressed. Even the third-party interviewer, Michael Robbins, he didn't even give us a conclusion on the case. He didn't even tell us who was at the wrong or anything. He didn't even give us any information.
So what I think he's trying to do based on his post is he's trying to void out everything and say these are the reasonings why it should be void. Apparently his attorney didn't tell him all his rights. He could have really filed a lawsuit that he didn't maybe have all the information to make an informed decision. I don't know, but it sounds like he's trying to avoid this, and we're going to pull that up.
Tyler Perry knew everything. He kept all that information silent. Everything silent. He didn't let anyone know. But my attorney saying, hey, I got text messages of the lady telling me this.
Okay, so that's how he ended it. Thank you, Nicole and Anthony, for the cash apps. I appreciate that. So he got all of this stuff about who he think this is collusion and all this stuff. This is what he's alleging occurred from this person, the great grooming, transporting the victim across lines under false pretenses. His attorney, he's trying to say legal malpractice, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and failure to uphold federal and veterans' rights. Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studio, negligent retention, enabling a predator and participating in the cover-up. Then he got Michael Robbins, conflict of interest and suppression of material findings as a third-party investigators. So he has these elites think they have control, but they don't. Yahweh has all the control. This the same way how Moses told Pharaoh to let Yahweh's people go. And Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, just like Tyler and Mark and Jeannie in these systems. So, I don't know. Let's see what this text is. What's up, Braxton? You in LA? Yes, sir, I am. Where you at? You in LA? And I'm at the highlight room with my cousin's birthday. I'm here today working. I thought of you. Ah, man, what you working on? How long are you here? Just today. So I don't know who that is because he didn't say like, I don't even know the context behind that. So this was the alleged NDA. I mean, the alleged settlement. And it has settlement release and non-disclosure. And this is supposed to be with this was signed October 31st, 2024, or this is what it has up here as the day. Between the Mark Swinton, TPS, the Braxton Wells, that's him, Swinton, TPS, and Wells are referred to herein as the parties. So they do deny the allegations. They said TPS and Swinton dispute and deny any and all liability to Wells and or any other allegation that Wells has leveled publicly or privately against Swinton or TPS. Wells hereby agrees and understands that payment of the consideration defined herein below is solely for the purpose of compromising a disputed claim, and that said payment is not to be construed as an admission of liability upon the part of TPS, Swinton, or the TPS releasees by whom liability is expressly denied. This is typical language in settlements. Neither this agreement nor anything in this agreement shall be construed to be or shall be admissible in any proceedings as evidence of liability or wrongdoing by any party. This agreement may be introduced, however, in any proceedings to enforce the agreement. Such introduction shall be pursuant to an order protecting its confidentiality. So this was supposed to be confidential, and that's why he's trying to void it out. He done tagged TMZ, CNN, Fox News, Hollywood Reporter, everybody. Okay, so he don't care about no confidentiality. So the consideration of the mutual execution of this agreement and Wells covenant. Wells is the one, that's his last name of this guy that we're talking about. Not to file suit against Swinton or TPS. The undertakings herein full compliance with the terms of this agreement and the agreement to be legally bound. Swinton and TPS agree to pay or cause to be paid to Wells monetary compensation in a total gross amount of $500,000 on the following schedule. November 1st, 2024, $301,200, of which $201,200 represents attorney fees. Dang, his attorney got half the damn money. Represents attorney fees and costs, and $100,000 is allocated to Wells. So really, he got, if you take the attorney fee away, he probably got about a couple $100,000. So that's December 2nd of 2024. He's supposed to get $39,760. January 3rd, 2025, $39,760. February 3rd, 2025, $39,760. March 3rd, 2025, 39,760, and April 1st, 2025, 39,760. So he basically done got all his money. The December 2024 through April 2025 payments are all allocated to Wells. Payment of the consideration is contingent upon full compliance of the terms contained herein and timely receipt. They about to sue you for this money back. Oh my God, today. Oh, he got the whole release. Confidentiality and non-disparagement. Wells agrees to terms and conditions of this agreement, the nature of the underlying dispute, any act or alleged fact giving rise to the underlying dispute or this agreement shall remain strictly confidential and shall not be disclosed to any other person other than the attorney, tax advisor, treating therapist, or healthcare provider who shall also be advised of this confidentiality and who shall agree to be bound by this confidentiality agreement. Any such disclosure to a tax advisor shall be limited to the minimum amount of information. Any breach of this confidentiality provision by an agent, advisor, a representative, therapist, healthcare provider of Wells shall be deemed a material breach by Wells personally, regardless of whether authorized by Wells. Ooh. Without limiting the generality of the foregoing, Wells further agrees to not respond to or in any way participate on or contribute to any public or private discussion, notice, or other publicity or statement concerning or in any way relating to the fact, execution, or terms of this agreement, or to any fact, alleged act, or the claims related to the underlying dispute, or basically you ain't supposed to talk about that. Non-disparagement, except as otherwise required by law. Wells acknowledges and agrees that he shall not make any statement, written or verbal, whether directly or indirectly, to any person or entity, including in any form or media, or take any action in disparagement of TPS, Swinton, Tyler Perry, any manager. Oh, Lord have mercy. Recording posts and social media. Wells agrees to delete and permanently destroy our recordings, voicemails, videos, photographs he has relating to Swinton or any other TPS releasee, as well as any that's interesting. Any documents, including but not limited to direct messages on social media platforms, text. Y'all can read this. Y'all see what it is. Y'all can go on over here and read it. What y'all saying? Lisa said, I feel bad that he doesn't feel he was treated correctly. Candace said he is doing everything that he is not supposed to do. He has broken it all today. And he done tagged CNN in them. Like, Lord have mercy. I don't even know what to say. Everybody, thank y'all for trying to explain to all the people that just came in, because it was a lot. It was a lot. I know, Jay Vickers, I'm sorry. It was a lot because I was trying to put what he put on here, and he's kind of all over the place. So I'm trying to like break it down the way that I can based on not knowing for real like everybody else. No, I think honestly, I'm still of the initial, after reading all of this, and some of this I just read with you guys. Like I read the consideration because I wanted to see how much he got, but I hadn't read anything in it. I could guess what was in there. Like I literally, when I was telling you what was in there, it wasn't because I read it. I just know how these agreements go, but how most agreements go. Not Tyler Perry. I ain't saying I don't have anything to do with Tyler Perry. I'm just saying how a lot of these agreements go. But I can tell the Derek situation really pissed him off. But as you guys see, Tyler has not been served. He may never be served. He may just settle for a couple $100,000 with him. We don't know for it to go away. Or even if he is served, he may fight it to the end because he feel like this guy took advantage of him, like he said, like he got close to him and all of that. We don't know how this is going to end. But one thing he did say on one of these posts, let's go to that one. He felt like, let's go to his stories because he has stuff to say in his stories too. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, guys. I'm exposing the whole cover up. So he got the settlement. Ooh, this moving fast. Hold on. So he got the alleged text messages. He put that up there. The 200. There's nowhere to hide. You keep thinking you're powerful, but Yahweh is the Alpha and Omega. Yahweh is exposing all lies. But here's my think on Derek. Okay, it's going too fast. Let me pull it up because I think I screenshotted it. So he says, hold on. He says, but here's my think. The Derek Dixon case. I gave this man all my evidence for his $260 million lawsuit, but he didn't try to help me. So I'm not about to sit here and get taken advantage of again. So he's looking at this $260 million number as if he done got $260 million. That's how I'm looking at it. Then I guess he reached out to the same attorney that Derek had. So he has that on here too, where he has, thank you. And I guess the attorney responded, thank you for reaching out. I read your message below. Either I or someone from my team will be reaching out to you today to discuss further. What happened to you is shocking. So this is supposed to be the same lawyer. According to him on this story, he says, this is Mr. Wells talking, Braxton Wells. He says, and this is the guy who is helping out Derek Dixon's case. I gave this lawyer all my evidence and no support. You see what these guys do? It's all politics. Help them testify, but not help me and represent me as a client. It's ridiculous. Nobody cares. Nobody cares I tried to commit unaliving myself. Nobody cared. Only my creator, Yahshua, the Messiah. I hope he got family, though, around him because it seems like he may be struggling today to put all this stuff out. It does seem like he may be struggling. So, yeah, it sounds like when he saw that, and apparently they must have reached out to him, and they're maybe using him as a person who also has some bad experiences, allegedly, but then that attorney didn't want to represent him. So he basically talked about his disdain for that over there. Y'all can go over to his page and read it for yourself. So then he says, I'm here to find justice. They want to come take me out and unalive me. Then come find me, Tyler. I'm waiting. I'm not scared of none of y'all anymore. Y'all ruined everything for me, and you jeopardized my civil attorney. That's why I don't trust this system. I only trust Yahweh, and y'all thought I was crazy. So, yeah, that's what he has on there. Yeah, I think he's having... I really think he thought that he settled for pennies. Because, heck, your attorney looked like they got damn near half. So you feel like you settle for pennies. He's alleging worse allegations to me than Derek if you saying you was actually assaulted. And I think he just had a breaking point of it. So he was like, F this NDA, F all of this. And I want the whole world to know how I got done wrong. Why couldn't I go in front of a jury? Well, sir, you could have went in front of a jury if you actually said, I'm not signing anything and I want to go in front of a jury. But maybe he's alleging they said he don't have any claims because of the statute of limitation. But you don't know. Derek, the difference may have been that Derek went to Tyler Perry to try to get money and they didn't give him nothing. He may have. I don't know. I would assume that they sent him a demand and maybe they didn't want to give him anything. So he had to file a lawsuit. And then he put this astronomical amount. But that doesn't mean we don't know. We really don't know if they're going to allege jurisdictional issues. All the thing that you think that is true in that document, they may allege jurisdictional issues. We don't know. They may allege They may allege statute of limitation. We just don't know because he hasn't even responded. And I just really think that he's kind of taking this as if it's gospel, even though it's just an allegation right now. As y'all know, it's all just an allegation until it is proven. So let me pull up his lawsuit right quick. Let me see if I could see the jurisdictional part, maybe what he's referring to. But I hope he gets the solace he's looking for, but I don't think this was. See, the quid pro quo, actual harassment, that's what he's talking about. Basically saying, you didn't tell me all of my claims. This is what I think his frustration is. He's saying, I was just told in Georgia I had a statute of limitation. This attorney went over and found ways to sue, even though we honestly don't even know if any of this is going to stick. So he's saying, you didn't tell me that I had all these different claims on top, and you're the lawyer. So I think that's what his argument is. But again, we don't even know if any of this stuff is going to stick, any of it, because we don't know what Tyler is going to respond to and if he's going to try to dismiss the case or whatever. So venue and jurisdiction. This court has personal jurisdiction over all defendants because they have purposefully availed themselves as residents of the state and they conduct business in California. And this lawsuit arises out of acts that occurred in California and relates to their contacts with California. Further, the vast pattern of abuse, including actual assault, harassment, inappropriate, and additional wielding control and power over a plaintiff, was consistently present when defendant Perry engaged in the most recent acts described herein. The location of all events herein alleged occurred within the jurisdiction of California. So they're alleging that a lot of this stuff happened in California, is what they're alleging. And maybe it was where they was working at. I don't know. He's actually a resident there. Plaintiff was harmed and injured in California by defendants. The California Superior Court also has jurisdiction in this matter because the individual monetary damage and restitution sought herein exceed the minimal jurisdiction limits of the Superior Court and will be established at trial according to proof. The venue is proper in that liability arose here because at least some of the transactions that are the subject matter of this complaint occurred therein, and or defendants either is found, maintains offices, transacts businesses, and has an agent herein. This action is also timely under the actual abuse and cover-up accountability amended. So when he says that he believes that they didn't tell him what his rights was, I think he's trying to say the lawyer didn't tell him all of the different claims he could have had. And maybe if he didn't, and I'm just trying to articulate maybe what he's trying to put forth. Maybe if he would have known what the actual rights, what he's saying rights, but what the claims were that he may be able to wage against Tyler Perry Studios along with this guy, then maybe he would have never settled. But because he was consistently told there was a statute of limitation issue, he said, well, let me get what I can get because there's a statute of limitation issue. So I think this is what he's trying to say in a nutshell. If y'all picking up what I'm putting down. So they're saying it's timely under the cover-up accountability, which extended the statute of limitation. It's like that look back statute they had in New York that was dinging everybody. So if you acknowledge you have a 2-year statute of limitation, simply does not provide actual assault survivor adequate time to heal. Mr. Dixon is a resident of California, so he was saying he's a resident of California. He also resided in California. He's saying much of the harm caused by the assaults occurred in California. On information and belief, Tyler Perry has engaged in similar actual assaults from California. So they have to actually show how California has jurisdiction over this case. And it's probably because, as we know in this case with Dixon, he was saying a lot of the stuff happened at his house in Georgia. But he's a resident of California. So they may actually challenge jurisdiction. We don't know. He hasn't been served yet. California has a strong interest in allowing its residents to recover for injuries sustained, even if the claim would be time barred in another state. So this right here, just because he was told that the jurisdiction, that the statute of limitation expired in Georgia, I think he's pissed off saying, but I read this and there's things in California because I'm a resident that should have applied to me, but my attorney didn't tell me about that. And I wouldn't have went and settled but for me knowing that. Maybe that's what he's trying to, give. I'm working through this. I'm working through this, trying to figure out where he's going with it. Additionally, California law provides specific revival statutes for sexual assault claims, which revives certain claims that would otherwise be time barred if the plaintiff meets statutory criteria, including allegations of a cover-up by entity. So that's why you're hearing all this cover-up, that this attorney colluded with this agent and this person knew him since they was 18. Like now you hearing, or like the medical records when he said something about the medical records. So maybe that's what a cover-up he alleging is coming from. So then, Mr. Dixon was a California resident while performing work for Tyler Perry from January 2023 until his termination, is currently domiciled in California. Yeah, they're going to definitely challenge jurisdiction on this. That's why I think that this attorney put so much time into, and I usually don't go over jurisdiction, so I probably didn't even go over this when we were talking about it. But so that's that. That's what he's alleging. Okay, that's what he's alleging. You said it sound like, I'm just trying to figure this out, KK Scorpio, because we looked at the videos and he's kind of mad. Like he did this when he was upset, and I think it was hard to follow. But I think that's where he's going. Again, this is all allegations. Tyler Perry and them said ain't none of this stuff happened. They deny it. They just wanted to get it over with. And he's pissed off because he's saying his attorney didn't do what she should have done, didn't tell him what his rights were, which I assume that he may have had other claims. But again, we don't know if these claims even gonna stick. Now, if he actually tried to dismiss them and then the court gave an opinion saying why these claims can't be dismissed based on the pleading, then I can see his festivity. But right now, I think it's just a little premature because we just don't know if this is even going to go that far. We don't know if all of this is going to stick. This is just an allegation. I don't know. I don't get paid for that, to actually look them up and be like, hey, is there case law that says that it sticks or whatever? I don't know. So Ty said we've had jurisdiction classes before, Pam. Those of us have a good intellect attendance know us. Thank you, Ty. You know who Sabir Bay is. I don't, Rebel Media. Who is that? Oh, gotta run the disclaimer again. Yes, this is all allegations, child. This is not me. This is just an opinion. That's it. I don't give no legal advice. None of that. I don't even practice in California. Okay. But I do look up some of their laws, and I've had some, close calls over in California. But no, that's not where my license is. Can I pro hockey in there? Probably. Can I do cases in California? Yeah, but that's not where my primary, practicing is at. It's not where, I would have to ask permission. I don't just have unfettered right. Like today, if I wanted to file something in Michigan, I just file it. Don't got to get permission. But if I wanted to go to California, I would have to get permission. SW said he gonna really be pissed. I agree. He probably is gonna be very, very mad. But I think right now this is kind of premature. Elijah said because Derek may be getting a nice settlement, that yellow boy is broke. He got a settlement too. We went over that. I don't know if you was on here, Elijah, but yeah, Mr. Braxton Wells has gotten a settlement as well. But he's saying everything is void. The NDA is void because he feels like, he gave his different reason. He is a vet. He has documented disabilities. I don't know if he's going to allege some mental incapacities, like he shouldn't have been signing it. I don't know what he's alleging, but he's definitely going off on this Sunday. I hope he went to the house of prayer and had them cover him because he sounds really distraught. And then I really believe this lawsuit just pissed him off. Because there's an assumption. And then to say that this is he's got the attorney that you wanted as well, and that attorney kind of gave you the runaround allegedly, but now he's found claims for this guy, so he feeling some kind of way. Now I don't know the attorneys. The attorney, I'm sure, has a rationale. First of all, why they settled, I would assume, and that attorney may have vetted it and felt like they didn't want to take it for whatever reason. I don't know. But according to Mr. Wells, he's saying they want to use him. They'll use his testimony and all of the evidence he got, but they don't want to represent him. So he's pissed off, and maybe rightfully so. I don't know. Pam, what moots an NDA? Committing crimes. Like if you did it. So I think that's another thing he's trying to argue. I think he's trying to argue that this was done in order because maybe they knew he was going to file a lawsuit. He was going to not only file a lawsuit, but he was going to report the crime to the police. So things like that, you're not supposed to do it for those parts. But that's not actually in that settlement we read. It just said this is in lieu of you filing a lawsuit, which is, when you get this money, you can't sue us. So that kind of took away his right to sue. They can definitely use that if he files a lawsuit or if anybody files on his behalf or he files pro se or whatever. I'm sure they'll use that as a way to counter it. But it looks like, depending on I don't know how their state bar is going to handle his submission. If they just feel like, okay, this is a disgruntled client or whatever, and they just kind of let them know, hey, something has been filed, we'll look into it or whatnot. But I don't know. But that's what it sounds like. He looked at all of the claims. That's where he got the quid pro quo from. Because I was like, where'd that come from? He looked at all those claims from Derek, and he was like, I could have had all them claims. I thought I got a California lawyer, and she ain't telling me about all them claims. I wouldn't have settled if I knew I can get 260 million. I think that's what he's thinking. But again, we don't even know if any of this stuff is going to stick at all. We don't even know how far it's going to go. We don't even know if they're valid. I think that his attorney spending enough time trying to talk about the jurisdiction means that they know that perhaps they may argue jurisdiction, because we all know they're saying the incident happened in Georgia. They're also saying that, of course, Tyler Perry lives in Georgia. And so I think because of that, they may argue some jurisdictional issues. Because Tyler Perry Studios is in Georgia as well. So I don't know. But he's a resident of Cali, so he must have just came to Georgia when it was time to film or whatnot, or to meet Tyler Perry when they wanted to meet or whatnot. Make sure y'all hit the like button. All right, y'all. I think we reached the end of the road. Okay, the escort suing Cassie. What? Now that I got y'all here, so he's very interesting. I'm not really shocked when some people started coming out. First of all, we know how much money she got, so I think that she's gonna have to worry about that. That's part of what she's gonna have to worry about. He is pro se. I read his complaint. It's 40 something pages. I was going back and forth on whether I even wanted to discuss it or not. I thought maybe y'all might be Diddy bopped out until the sentencing, because I think he has something Tuesday that we may have to go over, and then the sentencing comes up after that. But he started out on Tasha K. I think Tasha K interviewed a few of those escorts, and I think the consensus is people are kind of saying that she was down for the get down, which we saw text messages that seem to reveal that. And I don't know what to take of this guy. Do y'all believe the guy or not believe the guy? He had Blackburn at first, and he's alleging that Blackburn basically do I got this doggone lawsuit out? Let me see. Y'all just don't want me never doing my other work, huh? I'm gonna be up all night. Where would I have that at? Which file? Oh, here it go. Y'all be getting me every time. Every time y'all get me. All right, let me pull this up. Where we're switching gears, y'all. We already talked about we already talked. So this is the complaint. So it was very well written. So I was like, oh, well, maybe he got an attorney to help him draft it. And then, but it's very, very long, as you guys see. And he did say that he was a law student. So I'm not reading all of this, but this is what he's alleging. We'll read the preliminary statement so we can have a little bit of an idea of what he's saying. And that alone is a good couple of pages that should hold y'all over. So the plaintiff, Clayton Howard, brings the civil action against defendant Sean Combs and Cassandra Ventura arising from an 8-year period of systematic sexual exploitation, trafficking, and abuse that occurred between approximately 2009, which would have been, about 2 years after they started dating? Or 1 year after they started dating? And 2019. Now, they supposedly broke up in 2018, so I don't know where that 2019 is coming out, but it is approximately. This case exposes the darker truth behind the widely publicized narrative surrounding defendant Ventura's recent civil settlement and the ongoing criminal prosecution of defendant Combs. Now, interesting, he mentioned that civil settlement. Just saying. Defendant Sean Combs is a prominent rapper and record executive known by his stage name Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Diddy, who arose in fame in the early 90s. He cut and pasted this from somewhere. I could tell by the way them quotation marks are. Just saying. Who arose to fame in the early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. Defendant Cassandra Ventura, known professionally as Cassie, is a singer, actress, and model who gained prominence in the early 2000s with her single Me and You and appeared in films including The Perfect Match and Set It Up 2, The Streets. Defendant maintained a highly publicized romantic relationship from 2007 to 2018, during which both were toxic individuals addicted to opiates and methamphetamines who had no regard for others of the law. Their relationship was characterized by actual explicit depraved activity categorized as swinging, with defendant Combs harboring a specific fetish for voyeurism. The relationship was abusive, with defendant Combs frequently physically assaulting defendant Ventura in response to domestic incidents neither could emotionally control. The misleading public narrative. That's the title. In late 2023, defendant Ventura filed a civil action against defendant Combs pursuant to the Gender Motivated Violence Act, alleging that Combs manipulated, abused, and controlled her for over a decade through a violent behavior and disturbing demands. She claimed to have spent over a decade trapped in a cycle of abuse, violence, and ex-trafficking, including allegations that Combs forced her to engage in acts with male ex-workers while he masturbated and filmed the encounters. The parties settled this action within 24 hours for $20 million. Subsequently, the Office of the U.S. Attorneys for the Southern District of New York arrested and indicted defendant Combs for sex trafficking and violation of the Mann Act, with the prosecution's foundation based largely on defendant Ventura's allegations. Defendant Combs currently faces trial on RICO charges. Well, Contrary to the narrative presented in defendant Ventura's civil complaint and the subsequent criminal prosecution, the truth reveals a far more complex and disturbing reality. Defendant Ventura was not merely a victim forced in actual encounters with male escorts, but rather an active and engaged participant who willingly manipulated and exploited others, including plaintiffs, to satisfy the actually depraved desires of defendant Combs and herself. So he's saying it wasn't just Diddy with these different actual escapade desires and fantasies, it was her as well. For more than 8 years, defendant operated a scheme whereby they systematically exploited plaintiff through manipulation, coercion, controlled substances, and threats of violence to engage in consensual actual activity for their gratification and commercial purposes. Defendant Ventura accomplished this exploitation by concealing her identity and fabricating the narrative that she and defendant Combs were, quote, married, using the deception to entice men into drug use and actual encounters. Defendant drug plaintiff with controlled substances. Defendants, so I guess this is both of them, including MDMA and doses 3 times stronger than what defendant Ventura herself consumed, to lower his inhibitions and facilitate actual exploitations. Defendant Ventura used these substances strategically like a spider catching its prey in its web to manipulate plaintiff into unprotected actual contact designed to please defendant Combs and prove her devotion to his appetites. Defendant Ventura would command plaintiff to masturbate for hours while she pleasured herself to climax, visibly satisfying herself at the sight of plaintiff's anatomy. So she was just looking at him and she was like, oh, this is it. These extended masturbation sessions often left plaintiff's penis bruised and swollen, injuries about which he would complain to defendant Ventura seeking consideration. However, defendant Ventura showed no mercy, simply demanding compliance while pleasuring herself in a manner she hoped would satisfy defendant Combs, who derived satisfaction from watching her gratification through his voyeuristic desires. During these encounters, defendant Combs watched silently in the shadows, directing the activities as if he were a film director orchestrating his vision. Once defendant Ventura was ready to begin, defendant Combs regulated her responses and controlled the rate of actual activity, exercising complete dominance over both plaintiff and defendant Ventura in what the couple considered a special shared experience. While defendant Combs appeared to serve as a protector rather than an oppressor, supporting defendant Ventura's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during encounters. His presence was deliberately intimidating as part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. Threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control, and during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing defendant Ventura to the master suite to retrieve his firearm. At no time did defendant Ventura display fear when engaged in or about to engage in actual encounters. All abuse witnessed by plaintiff occurred due to domestic complications between the defendants, including jealousy, ego, and arrogance, aided by extensive drug use and sleep deprivation, which contributed to violent outbursts from defendant Combs, who consumed far more drugs than defendant Ventura. Actual assault and non-consensual recording. Over the years, plaintiff was actually assaulted by defendant Ventura, who would manipulate and force herself upon plaintiff during her menstrual cycle against his will. Defendant filmed plaintiff in compromising encounters without his consent for years, creating recordings that the couple would watch together after the encounters ended and used for mutual masturbation. When plaintiff confronted defendant Ventura about the recording and vocalized his desire not to be recorded, she explained that she enjoyed their actual relationship and provided her reasons for the recording. Defendant Ventura then opened her MacBook to a previous recording and masturbated to climax in front of plaintiff while watching an encounter involving the two of them, demonstrating the extent of his manipulation and control. Her manipulation and control. Commercial X trafficking for more than 5 years. Defendant traffic plaintiff. The defendants traffic plaintiff for purposes of commercial X, using him as entertainment to satisfy this sexual fetishes and personal ambitions. The couple drug, manipulated, and traumatized plaintiff while themselves engaging in a toxic, domestically abusive relationship that often became violent. Defendant Ventura had a specific preference in selecting her companions and chose plaintiff for 8 years over many other available options. That's for all those that said he was ugly. He was like, listen, I was picked out of a lineup. As subsequent criminal trial proceedings have revealed, the allegations demonstrate that defendant Ventura deceived, manipulated, injured plaintiff, and therefore should be held accountable alongside defendant Combs, as the two were partners in their criminal enterprises. Obstruction of justice and witness manipulation. Plaintiff's ability to seek timely legal recourse was deliberately frustrated through a coordinated effort involving his former counsel, who communicated with federal prosecutors without plaintiff's presence. The plaintiff was advised to remain silent and was manipulated into inaction, with his attorney intentionally delaying action to protect defendant Ventura's credibility. The plaintiff was specifically advised that should he file a complaint, he would lose credibility before the court and therefore should refrain from doing so if he wished to do what was right and tell the truth. His counsel deceived, ignored, and misled him regarding the creation of the initial complaint against the defendant and when it would be filed. Despite serving as a complaint witness for the government and providing information that was later corroborated by investigators, man, my allergy, excuse me, thereby validating his credibility and the truthfulness of the statements, federal prosecutors ultimately withheld plaintiff's testimony despite its corroborative value and his valid allegations against both defendants. Denials of justice in the present claim. Told you had a long introduction. Okay, we almost done. For many years, plaintiff has lived with this trauma in silence, forced to endure the psychological and physical consequences with no visible avenue of justice. While defendant Ventura allegations have destroyed defendant Combs' career, she has escaped liability by using allegations of abuse to avoid criminal responsibility for her own actions, thereby denying victims like plaintiff the justice to which they are entitled. With the opening of legislation that granted survivors a look-back window to seek justice against offenders, plaintiff learned he had been given a second chance to obtain the justice he deserved. The plaintiff has sought justice for over a year, only to be denied through the manipulation of legal professionals who wish to affect the criminal trial of Sean Combs. Mr. Howard was used and manipulated. Now tired of the misconduct and incompetence, he has sought action himself and refuses to remain silent any longer in the face of this systematic exploitation, abuse, and attorney misconduct. And then this action seeks declaratory, injunctive, and monetary relief under federal ex-trafficking statutes and all of that. Got all the people he's suing. So he talks about how they met, and yeah, it gets a little graphic, okay? So that is what they are alleging. According to him, he's saying he was forced to have X while on the cycle. He said that he alleges that he talked to the government a few times and they said they were going to use him, and he actually was in New York. However, the government decided that they didn't want to use him, and it was mainly, he alleges, because he wasn't going to say nothing real positive that was going to help them about their alleged victim, which was Cassie, so they didn't use him. So to answer some of your questions, some of it seemed a little wild, and it does seem, a little coinky dink. I guess that it occurred during the time of her making all this money. But I do find it interesting, and we talked about it if you guys follow, my coverage of Diddy. I did find it interesting that only 2 of the workers actually testified, even though they clearly knew who everybody was. So I was wondering why one of them, the Punisher, I don't even see how he was even that helpful. But I think them getting some of the escorts to cooperate maybe the way they wanted to may have been an issue. There was also the young lady, Jordan. I think she went out. She was going all out. She thinks it's a miscarriage of justice. And she had a video as well. I was going to do a whole video on that with them. I still might. But on all of the aftermath and stuff that has happened since then, she's upset. But I think a lot of people are just upset that they think that he's getting out, but he's not charged with what you guys are upset about. It's a difference if you testified and part of the crime was going to be whatever happened to you, which is assault, and then he lost. I can see you being pissed. But the fact that they were saying RICO, which was difficult to see, and ex-trafficking, that's what the charges were. You can't want him to just go to prison just because of who he is and what you think he did to you 20 years ago. And I understand the psychological reasons behind everything that people tell you, but there are people who leave. There are people that don't stick around, and there are people that do press charges. And unfortunately, if you are not in that mind space to do that, then there are statutes of limitations and you missed it. And I think a lot of people are just projecting that they want because they didn't have the courage at that time or whatever psychological reasons their therapist told them. They want him to be punished for what he did to them. And that's not how this works. And I think that's why they're arguing back and forth. The internet is a whole mess. People are pissed at everything that happened. Some people are mad he didn't get bond. Some people mad he got bond. Some people mad that he was even gonna get that he's even gonna get out. They wanted him in there for life. It's just so much going on the internet with him. The aftermath is like a big windstorm, honestly. But yeah. Also, what's your opinion? So I saw the alternate juror, and he feels like that the jurors got it right. Based on the facts in the law, I agree that I think they got it right. The Mann Act, y'all know, is racist within itself. So based on the Mann Act, yes, I say that's what I said he will probably get convicted on. But do I necessarily agree with the man? I mean, it was called the White Slave Trafficking Act. I mean, the real point was they just ain't want them bringing white people. You know, it was for interracial marriage. Y'all know the whole Jack Johnson. So the fact that was the origination of it and that what it's used for, I don't necessarily agree with the historical and how it's evolved. But nonetheless, that's what it fit. You know, that's what really fit. I've heard some people feel like it's an inconsistent verdict. Like, if everything is the same, then how do you get convicted of prostitution but don't get convicted of the trafficking? Because it's kind of one the same. They're not looking at it individually. I've had some attorneys that told me that as well. So it's so much opinion out here. And I don't know. I don't know if Diddy's gonna breathe easy. I don't know if he worried about stuff. So many people have lawsuits. I think they've counted 80 something lawsuits. I think he has 85 civil lawsuits currently pending. He is probably literally the whole firm's caseload at this point and paying millions of dollars every month just to run these cases. I don't know if the feds is done. Like, I don't know. I don't feel just confident that they're not gonna still try to comb through something, look over something, see what they think can stick in order to try to get them. I don't know. I just feel like this Diddy thing is kind of the case that never ends, and it's going to be some more twists and turns to it and more people coming out. So yeah. You said because they don't believe they were forced into X acts, but transporting escorts is against the law. No, I understand that. I'm not saying from that standpoint. What I'm saying is just the law, period. I said I knew that he would probably get convicted of that if you follow me. I said that from day one once I seen what was going on. But I just know the behind the scenes of it and the fact that they made it the same. Like, they kind of connected because really it was kind of like, well, who is the ones that were trafficked? I mean, who was the one for prostitution? Because if you say it was, so under federal law, a lot of you don't know, the general statute of limitation is 5 years. Now, you have certain statutes that give you longer. You have certain statutes there is no statute of limitation, such as unaliving someone. There are certain statutes that don't have them, but there's a lot of white collar crimes and they have certain times. But generally speaking, it's 5 years. So if you have a 5 year, then I think you have to be specific on who's being prostituted. So if you're talking about, like, for instance, if you're talking about Cassie, they allegedly, their last encounter was 2018. He was indicted in 2024. So is there, like, you would have to know, well, when is the last time if there's a statute of limitation issue? I feel like the defense brought it up for the RICO conspiracy, and they may have argued it already, and we just don't know about it. But there's just some inconsistencies, is what I'm saying, that I can totally see. It almost feels like they just felt like they had to get him on something, so they got him on a lesser offense because he was kind of out here wilding. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll just see. Deb said most people are confused and wrong about what was being said about the case because they haven't studied the law like attorneys have. Heck, it was some attorneys that was confused. I mean, if you don't know anything about criminal, and like I said, it was hard for me. Like I told you all, I'm getting what the government is trying to do. I just don't agree with it because of how it's supposed to work. That's what I was saying. So it was real confusing and even you can tell by how they had to do jury instruction to kind of elaborate on certain things because it was confusing. I think they overcharged, and I said it. I just think they overcharged. I think if they can get Diddy on anything, I think they would. So he better walk straight. But Cutie Smarty said Cassie's limitation has expired for the Mann Act. I feel like I hear what you're saying. That's why I said it. Just throw it out there, but I feel like their attorneys would have said that. And if their attorney said that, maybe there was some arguing that we don't know about. Because to everything there's exceptions. So maybe there was an exception. I don't know, but I agree with you. Generally speaking, it seems like there would be a statute of limitation issue when it came to the Cassie. Amani said, yes, most attorneys will lean on emotion and not law. Yeah, and then it depends on what type of law you do. Some prosecutors, like, you can tell those that even if they didn't currently practice, you can tell who did prosecution because they're going to find everything that's pro prosecution. I automatically, the way my mind works, I automatically look at pros and cons on both sides, and I automatically weigh on both sides. You'll see there's certain people that I was like, shoot, put under the jail. Like, and certain people that I'm like, I don't know how they getting out of that one. Like, I don't know these people. And I think people get mad because they're like, well, he did this to me 20 years ago and he's a millionaire, and so he never gets brought to justice. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but that's not what he's charged with. Y'all can't get mad and be crying and snotting and justice wasn't served. How you saying justice wasn't served when the government overcharged them and they couldn't prove a RICO? Like, you can't get mad about that. You're just mad he's not going to prison for the rest of your life. You don't care what the charge is. You don't care what it is. That's not how our Constitution is. That's not how our country, our judicial system works. That's just not how it works. Unfortunately for people, and again, I get people with their trauma and all of that, but if you choose to sit back and not say anything, the consequence can be that there are no consequences for the person that's accused of doing that to you. You cannot project that on other people and be like, oh, well, I want him to go to jail for what you did. Then people were getting mad. Like, I seen, the young lady, the chef, when we heard the story about her as well. She was upset and said they flew me down there and then they said they don't want to use me, so she got mad. Well, the problem that was happening is this: do you want the government to keep on putting witnesses on the stand who was getting like straight massacred by the defense on cross-examination? So if they felt like, I think they got to a point where if they felt like the testimony was not going to be as beneficial as what they need, they was just not taking the risk. And that's not to say that you lying or not lying. It was whatever it was. Diddy's team was able to find whatever it was. That's what it's. If you got the time wrong, they found it. If you got the date wrong, they found it. If you was having ice cream over with your child on the day you said it happened, they found it. And so I don't think the government wanted to keep taking risk on their witnesses looking like straight, liars. You had the alternate juror who said they didn't believe Don Richard. She got a whole civil lawsuit. So her testifying may affect her whole civil lawsuit. So yeah, that's all. Mr. Big Play Bray said the attorney who gave the opening statement, her dad was helping with the case. He said they put on a brief about it being over 5 years and they were working on that. Oh, okay. That's what's up. I didn't know that. Thank you so much for sharing. But yeah, that crossed my mind, the statute. We talked about it for the RICO. But when they were like with Cassie, I was like, they broke up in 2018. How is she being charged with prostitution? It kind of did cross my mind. So, and then I said, well, they got the best attorneys. There is no way they could have like dropped that ball. And I'm just over here looking, commentating based on general knowledge of everything with no real insight. So, okay, if that's the case, he may only got one charge with oh girl. Lil Rod got chewed up by academics. He won't last on cries. I saw that too. So there was about, what was it, the children that they amended the complaint. So Lil Rod, I guess, in his complaint was alleging there were children involved, that they appeared to be underage. The women came out and said, I am not underage. This is me. Remember, there was a picture that they were alleging was Stevie J, the actual ex-work or porn star or whatever he was, came out and was like, that's me. That's not Stevie J. And so the complaint ended up being amended. I think they took it out. So academic kind of checked them about it. You know, like, well, some of the stuff you saying ain't even true. So what is you saying? Your own attorney took it out. I was glad to see that since Diddy had the money to fight, the feds were exposed for the lies and games that they play against folks they come against. I said that in the beginning. I was just like, I just like seeing the equal balance on both sides because it never seems equal. Who, even with R. Kelly's, cause he ain't had them type of lawyers. I ain't saying he would have won one way or another because I ain't watched the case, and he had other situations where they was alleging minors and all of that. But he ain't have no Diddy team, and he don't got no Diddy money either. But he got money, but he didn't have that type of team. And to see the balance of it is just like, okay, this is some good litigation. I have transcripts that I would like basically even just study some of the cross and some of the things that they did. So I don't know, in trend. Well, they tried to do witness tampering and all of that. They tried to do that in the under the RICO. So they could have charged that individually already. I don't know. I don't know. If that's the case, they need to charge people with perjury that was on that stand that they said perjured themselves. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Shamira said people are emotional about alleged victims and how victims are disproportionately scrutinized and understanding of the law doesn't. Yeah, people are emotional about alleged victims. But then it's also let's look on the flip side. And I was having this conversation with Dev. I said it's very interesting because it's almost like the government is saying grown up women can't make these type of decisions. Like that's what it felt like. It felt like, oh, if you allow somebody to do a golden shower, it has to be that you just didn't want nobody to pee on you. Like almost like we need our hands held about our decisions we make. So yeah, we want to be equal. We want to be in the same courtrooms. We want to be treated, as being able to be jurists over cases. We want to be the chief of police. We want to do everything. But then when it comes to these type of situations, it's always like, oh, no way that they would consent to something like that. So it was just interesting just to see the testimony and how it was coming out and how there were texts where she consented. But of course, you had conversations where she said in her mind she really didn't want it. She just did it to please her man. So if you did it to please your man, that's not really consent, is what they were trying to allege when it came to Cassie. So it's just interesting. Just interesting. EM said, I follow R. Kelly's case. The government seized his assets before he even went to trial. Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. I can't, but that is, he got a RICO too. So yeah, RICO, and that's what I told you. I said, the RICO will take all of his stuff. Will take all of all of Sean Diddy Combs stuff. That's why I said beating the RICO is a win. And people typically don't necessarily go to prison for a long time for Dominion Act. And in fact, oftentimes the actual person that they're saying was the person engaged in prostitution, they get charged too. So it's interesting that how they did it, where there's no there. And that's what I said. I said I heard some people say, well, they're co-conspirators. I said, well, they can't make them co-conspirators and make them a victim because how do you really present that? Can it be so? Yes, it can be so. But I'm saying the scenario and the facts of this case, it would have been difficult for them to make them co-conspirators and victims, and it makes sense to a jury. Yolanda said, I posted a link to Tasha K from his interview. He was dropping some good information about Cassie, and he wrote a book about his experience with them. You said, when I did something I had no business doing, I had to eat that and learn from it. Who knew I could just blame somebody? Listen here, we all got buyer's remorse. That's what I said. I was like, man, I really want to. In my head, I talked to a psychologist and they told me because of my childhood trauma, that's what made me do it. Apparently, because that's pretty much what I believe Cassie was saying. She went to the retreat to get some healing and all of that. And I think that's when she was allegedly, if I recall correctly, told that that was ex trafficking when she shared it. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Y'all had me on an extra hour. I was done 40 minutes ago talking about Tyler Perry and all these shenanigans and walking through it. So we'll see what happens with brother Wells. He's pissed off today. He's not very happy. And again, I think a lot of it is just because he feels like he got played. You know, he feel like he got played. He feel like he could have had some more. He done posted some more stuff on here. Lord Jesus have mercy. So he done showed his SAG after help me out too. I don't think so. I'm a union member with them and I'm supposed to have protection. And even the lady in Georgia who is the president of SAG after was protecting Tyler Perry. You guys think this is a game, but it's not. All actors, you are being used as puppets and slaves to the business. But don't worry, Yahweh Elohim is going to tear all this down completely using my vessel. So he's showing his SAG after. He also, I guess, he filed a complaint to SAG after as well. And they acknowledged it. What else he done posted? Y'all can go over there. He got Gloria already. He done put her picture up here next. He said, they don't care about justice. They care about money, fame, and their image in the system. I reached out to Gloria Allred's firm, one of the most famous women rights lawyers in the world, after I was raped, manipulated, silenced, and betrayed by my own civil attorney. Okay, you can't put all that in there because that sounds like you accusing your attorney of rape and manipulate. Like we gonna have to work on how we do our sentence structures. I'm a disabled Army veteran, groomed and trafficked across state lines for a role on the Oval, and this woman had the nerve to say she can't help. It's all fake. These celebrity attorneys don't care about real people. They are about cameras and contracts. Gloria already has time to fight for famous clients on Netflix, but not for a great victim and veteran whose rights were stripped under California federal law. Yeshua the Messiah went through the same thing. He got all his scriptures. Gloria already doesn't know Yahweh. She's caught in a system built by Satan to protect predators. And he is crashing out. This system covered of rape. Wait a minute, let me pull this up. Shoot. I ain't never getting off this live at this point. Hold on. We just been all over the place today. So this is what I'm reading now from this one right here. He talking about her. See, those are scriptures. If you guys did not, he cited John 1:11, John 15:25. They hated me without a cause. Luke 6:26. I looked for someone to take pity, but there was none, and for comforters, but I found none. That's Psalm 69:20. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. Gloria already doesn't know Yahweh. She's caught in a system built by Satan to protect predators and punish truth tellers. This system covered up grape, conspired through legal malpractice, silenced me with a fake NDA. Now you're going to see how real it is if they sue you. While a criminal case was still open, but Yahweh's truth is louder. This is spiritual war. I won't be silent anymore. I stand with Yeshua the Messiah, not the demonic Hollywood system. I'm exposing all of it, and I have the proof. Hashtag justice for Braxton. Hashtag Yeshua is king. Hashtag expose Hollywood. Hashtag spiritual warfare. Hashtag truth be told. Okay, let's see what Gloria said that made him mad. Hold on. Oh, it's not let it. Oh, I gotta do this. Dear Braxton Wells, thank you for contacting our firm regarding your legal matter. Unfortunately, due to our office's present caseload and trial commitment, we are not able to consider representing you in any claims you may have as outlined in your intake. You may wish to contact your county bar association for a referral to an appropriate attorney. Please be informed that in every case, there's a time period in which an individual must file a lawsuit or forever lose the right to do so. I've made no attempt to ascertain what that time period is as it pertains to the set of circumstances you describe. In addition, the fact that I cannot represent you should not necessarily be construed to mean that you have no case. I think we all must write the same thing. When we don't represent you, I think we all write the same thing. If you wish to pursue this matter further, I would strongly urge that you seek a lawyer immediately to evaluate the facts and to advise you. As to the time period available within which to file a lawsuit, I usually put the state bar number on there though. Neither this office nor any referring lawyers are your lawyers, and no written attorney-client retainer has been entered into with our firm. Our statements are a matter of opinion only, and we can make no guarantees. You are free to obtain and solicit other legal advice, and we encourage you to do so. Wishing you the best of luck in your pursuit of justice. So there's Gloria. So he's mad at Gloria too for not taking his case. You know what? Oh man, y'all pray for brother Wells. He over there, he mad. He over there going through. Ooh, please, somebody, hood mayor, somebody. All right, y'all. So anyway, thank y'all so much. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the Sunday live. I sure enjoyed you guys. And I'll be back doing some type of commentary this week. But until then, I want you guys to have a great day. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you again for all the super chats and the cash apps. I appreciate all of the love. Gotta go.